having many opportunities through my earlier career of having doors opened, but being terrified to walk through that door. I mean, really, honestly terrified. Think, oh my God, that's going to be a change in that. It'll be a change in that. How am I going to do that? It's better to stay secure with where I am right now than launch into something brand new. But I was over 50, and I went, if I don't do it now, when? When am I going to be brave enough to walk through that door that I know really very little about and do it? So I did it, and I realized that this is something that I've had a great interest in intuitively for a very long time, to really help out a broader section of community, to help people who are in need, to provide resources for them, to provide a voice for them.
Welcome to Women in Work, the show where we take an inside look at how women are overcoming our own unique challenges as we grow our careers or build a business while nurturing relationships and family. I'm Diane Mocha, founder and CEO of MomSub, the childcare app that connects you to a substitute mom. And I want you to know that work can fit your life. Each week we meet a woman who has done that. Today I'm with Corinne Pierog. In 2020, she became the first Democratic woman to serve as the chair for a local county board in the suburbs of Chicago. She's also the founding chair of the Kane County Democratic Women. Before she started in politics as a school board member, Corinne was a university professor and college administrator who earned 3 degrees, including an MBA. But she switched careers to focus on nonprofit management and open her own management consulting firm. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a lot. Thank you for being here, Corinne.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you for having me, and good morning, everybody.
Yes, and I understand you did much of this as a single mom, even buying a fixer-upper so that your family would have a home.
Oh, the fixer-uppers. I love old homes, and the renovation of getting one's hands dirty and getting into the muck of it all is, let's just say it's a metaphor for sometimes life.
Yes, very messy. So you're raising kids, you're running a business, you have, all of these professional accolades and accomplishments that you've had, and you had a different kind of a challenge than maybe men do sometimes who don't find themselves as single parents. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, what do you think was the biggest challenge that you faced in your entire career because you are a woman?
Yeah, I think I first recognized it when I was newly graduated from university, and I had an opportunity to have federal grants to do some work for a local school district. And they put me in a trailer, and I was presented with all of these catalogs of books. I mean, they were just boring as heck. And I was told to read them. And I said, fine, for what purpose, sir? And he's there smoking his cigar because I told you so. So months went by. I said, am I supposed to report to you what I'm reading? What am I looking for? What research I have? He says, no, we really don't care about you. Just read. Well, I left that job thereafter because I thought, what a waste of time. Although the money was fine, and I was very happy to have a job, but it was just insulting. So knowing that the world was going to be a bit of a challenge going out of academic life where you could do anything and everything you wanted to, which is really why I started to take a look at getting a master's degree and going into teaching, because I didn't want to share that experience that I had and enabling my students to say, have the guts, have the courage to say, heck no, I'm better than that.
And you think that man treated you that way because you were a woman?
Because I was a young woman.
Mm-hmm. Didn't give you respect.
I was 21 years old, knew nothing about the world.
Mm-hmm. But eager to learn and contribute.
Yeah. And I know I had the smarts. Mm-hmm. And I had
the smarts to leave.
I had the smarts to leave.
And the guts to give up something safe and secure.
It was just horrible. Mm-hmm. So we all had those kinds of jobs, though, and that inherent implicit bias that we continue to change, whether or not you're a woman, whether or not you're a woman of color, a woman of diversity. sometimes it's just culture that has that biases. And that's what I've discovered. And you have to recognize it and not necessarily fault the individual who's doing it because they may not have the awareness themselves that they're doing it, but to correct it, not leave it like I did, which I think was actually a good idea on my part because it launched me in a different direction. But actually to have the courage to say, I don't appreciate you treating me that way. That's not who I am. That's not who we are together. So stop it. So,
Good
but that's
for
hard
you.
to do.
Yes. And then heading into academia, did you find a more welcoming environment there? Did you feel like women could excel? They were given the respect that they deserve? Or did you find as you got into administration, you started facing some of those same things, the glass ceiling?
It wasn't administration so much as it was the professors who thought that they were God's gift to knowledge, primarily men. And not all men were like that at all, at all, at all, at all. Some of them were gracious and giving and mentors without question. I mean, many, many of them were. But some of them were,
To everyone or to women in particular?
well, I can't judge all women. I can just say how I was treated. And I can't say they were bad to every woman. God, I hope not. But
But you can
sometimes
sense
you
that
can
they,
sense that there was a disconnect, absolutely. But that has, I believe that has changed now, and it is changing. There has been, for all of us, for women, we have started really collaboratively recognizing that we matter, that we are smart, we have courage, we have skills, we have talent, we have capacity. We give that to our children. If you have a boy, if you have a girl, you don't tell them that they have to have this career. You say, what do you want to do with your life? And encourage them. And then I know for me, I was a tiger with my kids. If anybody got in their way, I'd go, boom, get out of their way because it's their path forward and you can't stop them. But I never prevented them from falling because they had to learn to get up and learn how to have the courage to fight for themselves because I feel as well, a single mom, that once they got launched, I would always be there to help, but I would never be there to pick them up because that's their job to do that so that they can go on and develop their own career.
be resilient and not expect a rescue. So where were you at in your career when you started having children, and what was happening in your personal life? Did you fall in love, get married, the traditional things, have kids, and then something changed?
Oh, wow. I've had a very interesting life. It probably non-traditional. Yes, I was in New York City, and I was wanting to be an aspiring somebody in theater. I really was trained as an actress and a director. I had some success with that in New York. But frankly, if I can be honest, I didn't want to have my body be the vehicle for success. I wanted it to be my mind. It was always the case. So I felt that I was being exploited as an actress, and I didn't want that anymore. I just went, that's done. Change of course. So I was looking for an opportunity, and I met a very attractive man when I was working in theater off Broadway, and fell in love, got married. And surprisingly, after several years, because I was told I could never have a child, I discovered that I was 6 months pregnant. And my waist went from a small waist overnight, went boom. I'm how far along? Because I was told I would never have to worry about it.
Did you want children? Was this an
Well, I had no
unpleasant surprise?
well, it was just say a shock. It was a shock. And of course, as soon as you hear the baby's heartbeat and you go, oh my God, life shift very quickly. So had a beautiful child and
Boy or girl?
a little girl who was as feisty as me, and became a mom. And it was a real shift. I was at that point working on a PhD, and was very much the academic. So it was a very good time for me to have a child because as a student with a part-time teaching job, I had flexible time, which was not like 40-hour a week job. So it was a good time. And then later on, I had another child, a son, who I knew I wanted. I had a feeling, you know how you feel? You want to have another kid because you just know it's going to happen. And it did, but several years later, a large difference between the two, 8 years later. And then shortly after that, after his birth, I divorced and went on my own.
Wow. Big step.
Big step.
In
Big
a
step.
day when divorce was not as common. I mean, I know it happened, but not as common, when there
No.
weren't as many single moms, right? You know, when Murphy Brown came out back in the day and said she was going to have a child on her own, this was a little scandalous. So here you,
Yes.
so here you
true.
were,
That's true.
single mom,
two kids.
2 kids in New York, far from family.
Yeah, very far
Is
from
that why you
family.
moved back to the Chicago area?
Well, no, again, my life story. So I was in academics, and you can't find a job everywhere in academia. And I had a very nice job, but I knew I needed to leave New York City at this point for self-healing, truly, because it was such a tumultuous marriage. So I ended up in the South and changed career at that point. Was teaching and got engaged with developing a theater company, Cat Productions, which incorporated learning for not just for children, but also for their parents, because it was a very impoverished area, as well as doing first-class theater that incorporated the learning skill. It was awarded grants, and I was recruited to North Carolina to start a theater company. And from there, I really transitioned into economic development. Because once again, the rural South really needed some joy, some opportunities, some its own courage. Back when I was there, it's changed now, thank God, but there's still so many pockets of poverty throughout the United States. But I started missing home, and I wanted to come back to Chicago. My family had not the opportunity to really get to know my children, so came back here and started a life in St. Charles and have stayed within Kane County now 25 years. It's the longest place I've ever lived. So it's been quite good. Through work, I met another delightful man, my second husband, and we were joyously in love for a long period of time until he passed several years ago. So stood on my own again. So here I am, grown children and a wonderful career.
Wow. So back when you were in the South and you were working on some pretty big projects and had a lot of responsibility and you had these young children, how were you dealing with childcare? Did you have enough flexibility that you were trying to do it all yourself, or did you put them in daycare, or did you have
Of
help
course,
at
they were in
home?
daycare.
Yes.
No. Oh, there was no home help.
There was no home help.
There was no home
no
help.
sitters, no nannies.
I
No.
have to say, anybody who knows my last name knows I'm Polish, and I'm stereotyping everybody right now. My whole Polish family, we work. I mean, we work. We clean our own house, which I still do, and I actually still like it. It's very therapeutic. Do our own laundry, gardening. It's something that is really a good experience. But I can do it on my own time now. I don't have the demands of, I have to get it done ABC. But it was quite the challenge. Looking back on it now, I frankly don't know how I managed it all. Because it was get one child to school, the other one is much littler, so they had different needs. Do you take one to baseball or to soccer, where the other one's going off to cheerleading? How do you divide?
By yourself, yeah. So did you have a village? Did you build up friends? Did you have?
Oh, support kids always, yeah.
Yeah. So you had support around.
correct.
You met other parents, helped each
Absolutely,
other.
absolutely.
And so your children were in daycare while you were working. Did you go through any of the mom guilt that we hear so much about?
Oh, who doesn't? And who still doesn't have it? I mean, you're a mom. Of course, you feel guilty about everything.
Yes.
What if
when
I'd
you're
have
with
done
them,
that?
you feel guilty you're not working. When you're working, you feel guilty you're not with the kids, right?
What if I had done this? What if I had done? What if I had stayed there?
Wow. But you just like you said, you move forward.
Yeah.
That was kind of how you were raised. You
Correct.
worked, you did what you need to do. You came, back here, and when you were around family, did you feel like you had more support?
It was. I felt like I had and always had a lot of love. Whether they could support me on a day to day, I lived here. They lived on the North Shore, so there was not that integration of I can come over, tomorrow and watch. That was never the case. But there was love, and that love really strengthened everybody's bonds with each other.
So you're working in economic development, but having a job and then starting your own firm, two very different things. I mean, starting your own consulting business is like birthing another child, right?
It was, oh my gosh, it was the detailing of it was amazing. Knowing all the paperwork you have to do to start your own business, the registration, the incorporation, getting invested with the women's business program here in Aurora so I could get certification. And then doing the client base. And luckily, because of my previous work in not-for-profits, I had some connections, and I was very much involved with an agency that is no longer in existence, but I became part of their interim executive director program. So I would get leads, so I could go off and they would provide the interview basis for me. So that was an amazing start and opportunity. But my work was never short-term advisory, being a consultant. I would work for a company, a not-for-profit company, for a year, 4 years. My last client, I was there for about 6 years with them.
Okay.
So it was part-time, and encouraging the board and figure out what their strategic plan is, what the direction they were going on, what board development was, doing financial management for them. So kind of setting up the board for success and bringing them to their mission.
Was there ever a time when you thought about doing your own thing as a consultant, even if it was similar to having a full-time role because it was long-term consulting, where you felt like it would give you more flexibility with your children and that was what encouraged you? Or do you think starting a business and being a mom had nothing to do with each other?
Well, the children were grown at that point when I
Okay.
started the business.
Okay.
So they were one. Yeah.
So do you think you waited?
No, yeah, I think it just happened organically.
It just happened. It was
just
just the
happened
right time.
organically.
So, do you think it would have been harder to launch such a thing while you had children who were younger, while you were still shuttling them around to their activities?
Well, yes, because I lived here and most of my clients were on the North Shore.
Oh.
And sometimes it would take me an hour and a half to 2 hours to get home.
So that wouldn't have been very feasible.
It would have been very challenging.
Yeah.
Very,
You
very challenging.
you may have had to move your family.
Oh, that had been considered, but I had, because of moving, and I told them I would never move again. And I kept that as a real promise to them, that there would be stability here. And I kept that promise. So no, there was a consideration, but never movement.
So part of it was keeping them in the same school district, keeping them
with their friends.
With their friends,
With their
yes.
friends.
Which is
They developed a relationship here, and I'm not going to do that to them again.
Yeah. But then you venture into politics. All these years in, the nonprofit world. Was that something that somebody outside encouraged you to do, or was that something that you always envisioned? And why was it the right time then later to do that?
Well, I actually have to thank my son for that. He was the one who encouraged me. So it was a real snowy winter. And we were having one of those winter blizzards, right? Early winter blizzards. And I had always wanted to help out with the school board because he was in school, he was in high school. And I thought, I have a passion for education, always have had, always will. It's incredibly important for all of us to succeed in education to the best of our capacity. Learning is just an amazing thing. I still love to read and to learn. Um, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go on the school board. So I got my petitions, and I didn't need very many, maybe 20, 30. That's all.
Oh, that's all.
It's just you go knock on doors, right?
Uh-huh.
And you talk to neighbors. So I had one page done, which had 10, and I needed to get some more. And I thought, oh man, the deadline is coming up, but it's blizzard outside and it's awful weather. And my son looks at me and says, Mom, you want to do this? Get out of the house. Get out of here. Go knock doors. So I did. Well, all my neighbors took me in because here I am covered with snow and they're signing the petition. So that really launched the career into politics. I had a great mentor with the superintendent at St. Charles D303. He was a marvelous man, highly, highly just engaging, and really knew state politics, financial management, budget. Very different. Governmental budgeting is very, very different from not-for-profit or business budgeting. It's a different animal. So I gained as much as I can from him. He would take me in and say, this is the way it works. So we're going back to our original conversation. Here's a man who has got a lot of skill set, a brilliant man, and said, here's somebody who's interested in learning this. Let me pour as much knowledge on her as I possibly can. So I absorbed as much as I could and kept on being more curious. And when I was having dinner one day with my husband and my son, I got a phone call. And I said, you might have to take the call. So, which usually I don't do during dinner, but it was an odd phone call. It said State of Illinois, Democratic Party. Who's this person calling me? So they asked me if I would be interested in running for state senate. And I thought, well, he said, would you have any recommendations? And I thought intuitively, they're actually asking me to run. So I hung up the phone. I said, well, let me get back to you. And damn those men. So I sat down, I told them about the phone call, and they're both laughing.
Your husband and your son?
They don't want you. I said, no, really, they want me.
Why would they say that?
Because, they're just love me. So I went, no, I really am going to do this. And having many opportunities through my earlier career of having doors opened, but being terrified to walk through that door. I mean, really, honestly terrified. Think, oh my God, that's going to be a change in that. It'll be a change in that. How am I going to do that? Oh, it's better to stay secure with where I am right now than launch into something brand new. But I was over 50, and I went, if I don't do it now, when? When am I going to be brave enough to walk through that door that I know really very little about and do it? So I did it, and I realized that this is something that I've had a great interest in intuitively for a very long time. How to make substantive change in very small capacity, but to really help out a broader section of community, to help people who are in need, to provide resources for them, to provide a voice for them. So that's what I learned during all that time. And also with those wonderful debates that take a lot of work to prepare for, how to have your voice heard, to be able to speak to fact and not be afraid to challenge somebody who thinks that is their position, and to push back and say, well, I have a different opinion. I criticize you for what you've done respectfully, but I think you could have taken a different direction here, and share what your position is. So that's what I learned through that. And by blessed of having that opportunity of having my consulting company very quietly in the back end, because that was my professional life and theirs was my other professional life that I was learning, I continued learning more about politics and becoming more engaged in it.
And even though you didn't win the election,
No,
but you learned enough that you then went on to run for county chair.
Correct.
And that's a very powerful position, a very influential position. And so, it led the way to the next thing. So like we were talking about earlier, encouraging your kids to try it even if they're going to fail, because when you fail, it leads to the
it
next
leads
thing.
to the next thing.
To the next thing. Now, I wonder, in all that you've done, if you could go back to an earlier time, knowing then what you know now.
Oh
if
my
there's
gosh, to be
one
to be
thing you would
20 years
change.
old and to know what you know now.
What would you change
Oh
if you
my
could?
gosh,
One thing.
Can you imagine what we would do with this world?
So what would you do? What would you change?
So one of the opportunities that I always thought about that I really should have stepped in that door is I had the opportunity 2 times, and 2 times I said no, to walk into television production, not doing the production camera, but to actually do the research. One was for cable when I was much younger, and I went, oh, that was not, I'm not there yet. But the other one was working for in New York, an NPR station, getting through there, helping them with research, because they needed somebody who knew a little bit about theatrical production, right? It's very similar, different, but similar, but also knew how to do academic research. And they invited me with this opportunity. And I said, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'm going to continue studying 19th century women's literature.
So you hesitated getting out of your comfort zone for a long
Correct.
time
I did.
until you were older and said, if not now, when?
Yes, yes.
That makes sense. And we thank you for all of these insights that
Oh,
you've shared today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we thank you for tuning in with us on this episode of Women in Work. If you were inspired by today's story, remember to share it with a friend, leave a review, and subscribe to meet our next amazing guest. If you or anyone you know is struggling to find the right childcare, just submit your criteria to momsub.com and then watch a video interview with the ideal nanny who fits your family. That's MomSub, like a substitute mom. Our mission is for you to get the help you need so you can discover what you want in life, pursue it with intensity, and fulfill your dream, reducing your stress, guilt, and self-criticism, and increasing your calm, confidence, and clarity along the way. Remember, your career, your choices, and your success are yours to define. So keep pushing boundaries and spreading your love and encouragement to other women who need it.